Hello. Let's talk about what the digital story is. A digital story is a short video. That you probably already know. And that it's a personal story, that is also already, I guess, pretty clear. So a digital story is basically a little video where someone talks about a personal experience, a personal anecdote, or something that he or she has seen in her own personal life. As you noticed, I've mentioned the word personal a lot. I think that's very important, that it comes out of the person itself who tells it. What isn't a digital story? Well, that's not so easy to say. So first let's go into more of the details of what a digital story really contains. It's a collection of still images next to each other. Okay, we do put mostly a little bit of effect on there, so it does move a bit. But it's mostly still images. They can be drawings, they can be photos, they can be images from the internet, they can be cutouts from magazines, so they can be collages. There are many options of what a still image can be. They can be even paintings. But when we put it in a video, it would be a bit boring to just see a slideshow of images, so we put a little bit of a zoom or a little bit of movement on it. But why don't we use video, you might ask? Why not just a moving image? Well, first of all, a still image can say a lot. And it also takes some time, mostly for people to process or to realize what the person is really saying with an image. It takes a while also to just listen and watch an image. So your brain has to process and also has to listen, and just using still images makes it easier for the viewer to process the content. Now you could say that, for example, a biopic in the cinemas is also a digital story because it is personal about one person's life and it might go even deep in one side of a topic. But those are mostly videos, documentaries and interviews, so it's not really considered the same thing. Of course, through the years, the way of telling a digital story has evolved and has changed, and a lot of people have experimented with difficult things. And there aren't really real rules. There are some guidelines for sure, but in the end you can still experiment with what you want. However, there are a few recommendations, like using still images makes it a lot easier to make, first of all, to edit and also to process. Using your own voice is just a lot stronger than using someone else's voice or using voice clips from a previous recorded session. However, it is still possible to combine those, which brings us on the topic of sound. You can use music to enhance a certain feeling, but it often becomes cheesy if you add too much dramatic music or you add too much happy music. It definitely has to fit also with the theme, with the feeling of your video and your story. For instance, if you add a happy song or a hopeful song and it's actually about a very sad topic, that will clash and that won't work. Again, there are exceptions because sometimes that's maybe what you want. You want to create this feel of things that clash or things that don't fit together. That's also possible. But we would recommend, and this actually counts for everything you do with digital storytelling, keep it simple. Make it very easy to listen to and to understand. Also, if you use music where there is singing and then you put a voice over on top of that, it will be very, very difficult to understand what the person is saying. I would definitely recommend not doing that. But again, if you would use a song where someone is singing at the end, for example, to tell a coherent part of the story, that's also possible. As you can see, there are always exceptions. Digital storytelling is a very useful tool to tell a personal story about a certain theme. The topic itself can be anything, but it's very important that you keep the topic close to your group. What I mean is, I can give a very good example on that. We did a digital storytelling about the environment, most specifically about pollution, and the youngsters that we worked with were absolutely not interested in that topic at all, and we got a lot of resistance in the group. What we had to try to let them realize is that this was actually a good moment for them to speak up why they don't really, or why they aren't interested in this topic, why it's so far from their home. And that created an opening for sure. Still, it wasn't always easy. So if you are working around digital storytelling, around a lot of important and interesting subjects, do not force a subject on a group. Try to figure out what's important for them and try to figure out what is interesting for them as well, what they can talk about, and what would actually be an enhancement to their lives as well, so they can learn but also can share their own experiences and stories.